Whoa. Hey folks, sorry, came as fast as I could. What's all this about a Capcom arcade game? You're speaking the Motron magic words there, my friends. What do we got? Huh. Well, I guess I do remember this one. Magic Sword Heroic Fantasy. Certainly does have that Capcom look, and it already looks like a lot of fun, so I'm game. And I'm guessing we're gonna look at the Super Nintendo. Yep, there it is. I guess it's time to... Yep. Wow, this new guy really is on top of things. So, Magic Sword, the arcade game, came out in 1990, and I guess it was popular enough to warrant a port to the SNES 2 years later, once the system had established itself. They got rid of the Heroic Fantasy subtitle, leaving it with the awfully generic-sounding title Magic Sword, which may be why it didn't stick in everyone's heads the way other games did. Capcom made this guy in-house, and they wanted an arcade-style hack-and-slash, but with RPG elements thrown in, sort of like what they did with their 1987 game Black Tiger, which I'm sure even less of you remember. Well, no one pulled an all-nighter putting this plot together. According to the manual, it takes place in the kingdom of Zar, where the Dark Lord Drakmar has used the Black Orb to cast all of mankind under his fiendish eye. It's up to you, Mohan, the hero of the land, to climb the tower where the Black Orb resides and smite the ungodly artifact, freeing the land once and for all. And Mohan sure looks like he's been hitting the juice in preparation for the task. Christ. At least there's no shortage of protein in this world. But anyone who's grown up in the 80s and 90s knows this decidedly Western archetype. He-Man, Conan the Barbarian, Tim the sax guy from Lost Boys Capello. Even the Japanese version keeps this design, but names him... Hold on a second, let me get the translator out. Oh, you gotta be... Well, nonetheless, you need to take Mohan up all 50 floors of the tower, jumping, hacking and slashing, powering up and using keys to rescue a wide assortment of characters who help you along the way.
Thank you.
There are bosses every so often, but they repeat, which is a drag. But you get little moments of dialogue with these irrelevant characters before the fight. If you give enough of a shit about the lore, you can look each of these guys up. Your final battle is with Drakmar, as expected, but check this out. We get a little choose-your-own-adventure fun after you beat him, and you can either destroy the orb, thus saving the land, or allow yourself to become corrupted by it. Kind of a fun little thing to include at the end to maybe squeeze another playthrough out of the player, but the gravitas is overshadowed by the confusing instructions. Use lever and buttons. What does that mean? I thought we were talking about the orb. Well, I guess these are the instructions on how to make a selection. I don't see why that's necessary. Oh, Jesus, what was the actual question again? Do I want to destroy the orb? Yes. Wait, no, shit! Ah! Oh god, sorry everyone, sorry. Okay, let's pretend that didn't happen and look at your moveset, which isn't much more than slashing, jumping, and using a screen-clearing magic attack. This meter down here depletes and refills after every swing and determines the quality of the attack, ranging from a simple melee swipe when it's empty to a projectile attack when it's full. This allows for different gameplay styles, whether you want to be the type that goes balls to the wall swinging or holds back a bit making every hit count. Your health and magic have a shared pool, which is important to know. You also slowly lose health due to hunger, which is also important to know. Not knowing these things will no doubt make you wonder why you're always almost dead all the time. Also, take note of this number, which is essentially reserve health bars. Die too much and it's game over, kids. No checkpoints. Your eponymous magic sword gets upgraded every few levels, but it also goes flying off of you when you take a big hit, rendering you impotent until you pick it up again. Okay, let's get into the helpers, since they are what a lot of people remember most about this game. You rescue them by using keys on locked doors, like I mentioned, but as cool as they look, they don't do much other than follow directly behind you and attack when you attack, with a few notable variations I'll touch on. There are 8 in total. You've got the Amazon, Big Man, Ninja, Thief, Cleric, Knight, Wizard, and Lizard Man, each with their own unique projectiles that can complement a variety of circumstances. One notable skill is the Thief's ability to detect booby-trapped treasure chests. Your helper will have a health bar, which, unlike yours, slowly increases, and they can even level up with a red heart or by rescuing the helper you already have, trading up for a new model as you will. Higher level helpers mean bigger, stronger attacks, and don't worry, the helpers you rescue higher up in the tower are generally higher level anyways. Speaking of the levels, they aren't particularly long, which is good because it allows things to switch up more often and it prevents the whole thing from feeling like a slog. If you want to fast track your journey, you can find these hidden warp doors that skip floors, or you could just say screw it and start your quest at a higher floor altogether. And while the stages are fast, there are these little moments of respite in between stages where you can walk upstairs and make awkward conversation with your partner. Drachmar has the black yeah, no shit. I don't know if it's you or your helper who's talking, but I'd like to think it's the helper following you around and your guy is just sick to death of it by level 30. Like, oh god, shut up, shut up, shut up!
Technically, the first ninja stars were called bow shuriken, and they actually looked more like big spikes instead of stars, which is not what most people usually think of when they think of shuriken.
Okay, one last thing, but it's a big one. Items. There are so many goddamn items in this game that you can find in treasure chests and behind doors or dropped by enemies, and it is so hard to find a definitive source that will list all of them and tell you what each one does. Even the manual falls short, showing just a few descriptions for a few items, which is weird because it has literally a whole page dedicated to navigating the options menu. So, it looks like old Motron's gonna have to fill you in. Alright, all of you, make a line, let's do this. Starting with the items that give you points. Now, as useless as it is to keep score on a game cart that doesn't even save, you should still collect points for their gameplay benefit. Get enough of them and a fairy comes in to drop some bonus goodies. A few point items also confer other benefits, so pay attention. Small coins are everywhere and generally give 900 points, with 20 point and 4,000 point varieties also existing. Even if you don't care about points, pick up the coins to decrease the lag they cause. Big coins give you more, of course, either 8,000 or 30,000 points. This potion here gives a measly 500 points but fills up your ally's health, while this sapphire ring does a bit better at 900 points plus a defense boost. This bowl is worth 1,030 points, which sure is a weird amount, as is 2,060 points, which is what this mandrake thingy gives you, plus a small bonus I'll mention in a sec. It starts getting good with the helmet and the breastplate, which are 4,000 points each and give an attack and defense boost respectively. The scissors will give you a giant 60,000 points but will kill your ally, while the gem gives you a cool 80,000. Finally, the diamond is worth a whopping 1 million points and is only found right here at the end of the game. Next we have food items which replenish your vitality. Milk, green apple, bread loaf, and baguette only replenish half a bar, while chicken leg, grapes, strawberry, tomato, and mushroom replenish a whole bar. The blue apple gets you 2 bars, while this sumptuous lobster dinner gets you 2.5. This whole turkey gives you 3 bars, while this super rare star gets you 4 bars. Finally, there's the Capcom Yashichi, which gives you 6 bars. Just make sure you don't eat this mushroom here or you'll end up in what appears to be a gimp suit, rendering you unable to attack. The mandrake root thingy I mentioned earlier apparently cures this, but so does waiting 5 seconds, so yeah. The hearts only affect your teammates, with the blue ones recovering health and the red ones leveling them up as mentioned previously. Just don't get the upside down black heart or they drop down a level. Moving on to the power-ups, these are items that fit in this box right here and apply different effects. The gauntlet will increase the damage you deal, while the king's crown reduces the damage you take. The golden pot makes your helper heal faster, while the magic potion makes your weapon shot recharge faster. There's a scroll which increases the frequency of enemy item drops, as well as a pendant which doubles the point value of whatever you pick up. There's a crystal ball which allows you to see hidden treasure chests, and this diamond ring which you can give to the defeated lizard men to have them join your team. It also gets these sneaky thieves to leave you a little something when they swoop in to steal an uncollected item. Finally, there's the Power Stone, which boosts attack, defense, and magic charge, and thus is suitably hard to come by. Still more to go, folks! For instant use items, this magic book will clear the screen of enemies, while this Holy Grail gives you temporary damage protection. The magic wand gives your charged up shot some heft and some range, for a limited amount of time, visible here. The egg calls a fairy who will drop food, making it essentially food, while the bell calls the lizard man. Why? Fuck if I know. Oh god, shields. There are 4 shield upgrades, which all give the same extra damage protection but vary in durability. And of course, the swords, which you pick up after a predetermined number of levels. Each one ups your attack slightly, and the later ones augment your magic attack by basically doing what the magic wand does, but permanently. But the enemies take more hits as you move on anyways, so these upgrades really only exist to be an inconvenience when you lose them. So don't lose them! Are we finally done? Keys! Oh god! There are 3 sets of keys that open 3 types of doors that exist. Why 3? I don't know, we could have just used 1. Now are we done? Good. You can see how utterly confusing playing this game would be if you didn't know any of this stuff. You'd be like, what am I even doing with this pot? I could talk about what was left out of the arcade version, but when I review SNES ports, I like to look at them as is with no other context to bias my opinion. And if I'm doing that, the design of Magic Sword is somehow both simple and needlessly complex, but ultimately fine once you get used to it. So now that you have your PhD in Magic Sword, why don't we play the damn thing and talk about how that is? With such a simple button layout, they didn't have much to screw up, and indeed, they did not screw it up. Jumping, ducking, slashing, and moving around is squeaky clean, and your character is zippy and responsive. Your sword connects when you want it to, and enemies generally don't take many hits, making it satisfying to mow through a bunch of them. Having a generous invincibility window after getting hit or using magic really assists with the strategy and makes it less infuriating to get your sword when it drops in a pit of fire. And I didn't mind that health and magic shared the same pool, or even the slowly diminishing health, because it encourages you to play fast and smart, which I guess is what they were going for. Maybe there are some platforming annoyances here and there, a tad more floatiness than I would want, but it's barely worth complaining about. And don't worry about your helper ever being a problem. They're stuck on your ass constantly and can clip through things so they'll never get snagged or cause any issue. Worst thing they'll do is cause lag, which I gotta talk about, come to think of it. Early SNES games were famous for not being optimized to reduce lag, and this game really has just so much lag. What the hell is it with these rotating things, and why are they such a massive resource hit on my poor console? Really, a lot of times there's just going to be a bananas number of things on screen. Enemies, items, coins, projectiles, traps, your character, your helper, other helpers waiting to be picked up. The good news is the slowdown is manageable, it just feels icky and annoying. A few other things pissed me off, like the magician shooting down here because I'm holding down to duck, and I don't know. I'm having a hard time finding things I don't like about the gameplay. Wow. I mean, it is Capcom, so they knew what they were doing. Small things like how booby-trapped chests give a little warning so you can avoid getting hit if you're quick are very appreciated and show that the developers know how to make crowd pleasers. Overall, the gameplay is pretty friggin' great. That's exactly right, new guy. We are talking about graphics now. And I know the instinct is to see the name Capcom and slap down full marks, but let's pace ourselves. If we want to use Capcom language, the graphical vibe here sits somewhere between King of Dragons and Ghouls and Ghosts. The sprites are big enough to be vibrant and detailed, but small enough to still function well in a platformer. And the characters, as generic as they are, generally look pretty decent. They played it safe for sure, except maybe for the cleric, who's one piece of fabric away from being a clansman. Okay, let's change the subject, please. Or this guy and his bulge. But yeah, a little too normal at times. I already mentioned the hero, but the barbarian, ninja, Amazon, even the lizard man are all quite generic. Looking at the promotional art, we actually see a bit more character in the designs, which I wish made it over into the game a bit more. There's even a nip slip with the Amazon lady. Woo! Can they get away with that? No, they can't. How about the enemies? Are they cool? Again, kinda generic with a few notable exceptions. You're forgiven for not getting too excited over skeletons, goblins, bats, wolves, or even the dragons, but take a look at these guys. They look like they should have their own cartoon. Or the Moai statues, which would be pretty cool if Konami didn't do it first. But generic or not, everything has the Capcom polish, even the food. Oh hell yeah, dude. The environments have that classic early SNES look, and while I find it charming, I can't help but admit that it too is a little generic. Like, here we have forest, and mountain, and bricks, and outer space. What? Yeah, this boss battle was a bit out of left field, but still, it all looks pretty good. And if you disagree, let's pop in Battle Blaze to see what we could have gotten with a lesser studio. Hey! That is physically painful to look at. As for the animations, I can't comment too much. I mean, everyone walks a little stiff, nothing flashy, but decently executed. Are you noticing a pattern here? Magic Sword has really well done generic graphics. Like a normal-ass pub that makes normal-ass fish and chips, but man, they really nail it. Audio. Hey, check it out, a sound test. Remember those? Well, this is a pretty good place to start looking at the music for sure, so let's flip through until we find something that catches our ear. Okay. Alright. Nope. Okay, we got something here. Some heroic horns with a bit of a climactic, it all comes down to this vibe. Perfect for floor 1. Oh man, that's weird. Alright, this one's kind of bland. I sure hope they don't use it for too many floors. Okay. Okay. Wow. They sure are using this one a lot. Wow, that was 3 levels in a row. Damn. Okay. Oh, enough. Can we have floor 1's music back? Ah, jeez. Okay, this one's a bit out of place, and if you're having trouble figuring out what it reminds you of, here are a few sound effects to help you out. Yeah, I don't know. This one pops up quite a bit later in the game, and I can't help but feel that it does not belong here at all. Okay, let's do one more. Staff credit music, don't let me down. Well, I'm certainly not let down. Is this the part of the end where everyone takes off their costumes and wigs and says, "Hey, thanks for coming out, folks. Be safe on the drive home," or whatever? Not too crazy about what I just heard there. How about sound effects? I don't know. What are we feeling, guys? Yeah, I know, they still need to be heard in context, but still, in context, nothing jumps out at me. Maybe this thank you. Okay, we're moving on here. Good news! The original cartridge for Magic Sword is not a wallet destroyer. $40 isn't really that bad in the grand scheme of things, and I would say it's worth that price. Keep in mind, start to finish, this game will take you about an hour, so that needs to be taken into account. You also need to take into account that the arcade version of the game is available elsewhere and for much, much cheaper. First, the cheapest and easiest way to buy it is through the Capcom Arcade Second Stadium, either by itself for like $3 or with a bunch of other amazing games as part of a bundle. This is for Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Windows. If you want to go more retro, it was included with Final Fight in a 2-in-1 bundle called Final Fight Double Impact for Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network, but I'm willing to bet you can't play it today since it was digital only way back in 2010. They also released it as part of the Capcom Classics Collection Volume 2 for PS2 and Xbox, as well as the Capcom Classics Collection Remixed for PlayStation Portable. Apparently there was a mobile version of Magic Sword released, which I can't find footage of anywhere, so I'll just say that this is it. But what they never re-released ever anywhere is the Super Nintendo version. Yeah, this gray cart actually houses a one-of-a-kind version of the game. So that should count for something, right? I mean, how much better is the arcade version, really? Okay, new guy, you don't have to... Okay, well, I guess we'll go back and take a look. Wow, 2-player, huh? Damn, that's a lot of stuff on screen at once. And no slowdown, huh? Who's that guy? Damn, I really wish you hadn't shown me that. Okay, so the arcade version is vastly superior, which makes the SNES version probably a good deal for enthusiasts only, really. But a good deal is a good deal. Time to wrap things up and hand out a score, and like I said, Magic Sword for the Super Nintendo is going to be judged on its own merits. So with that in mind, we're giving this a 7.4 out of 10. The worst thing you could say about this game is that it's average, but the really clean gameplay and graphics elevate it enough to make it a solid SNES pick. Have fun.